And in other news, 2 large rubbery flanges have been erected on Pennsylvania Avenue to help keep a rampaging giant mauve blubbery ego in check. The ego, described to be 30 feet tall, 45 feet wide, the color of a rupturing bruise, and smelling faintly of waxy cheeses, chicken McNuggets, and bad decisions at 2 o'clock in the morning involving dolphin lard and a copy of Penthouse's readers' letters all about lesbian encounters in the drive-thru at Wendy's, inflated and burst out of the main government offices on Friday here in Washington, D.C., and spent the weekend causing endless damage and emitting the sort of gaseous, pungent green wafts that could peel the skin off a sloth's teats at 40 yards. Surprisingly, though, despite costing the city and possibly the country millions of dollars and being quite unstoppable and unwieldy, reactions to the ego have differed. Daytime television presenters clamored in increasingly bright and unappealing clothing to interview the ego, to touch it, befriend it, and take it somewhere where normal people who know nothing of fancy living can mindlessly clap at it for nothing more than being able to control its bowels long enough to utter the few taglines required to sell its message of hate, division, and narcissism to a tired, distraught, and weakening nation. Politicians have in turn tried to pander to the ego, to put their tongues on it, and to cowardly jump on board its train of filth and ride it into oblivion. The few politicians who oppose the ego and claim that maybe we should see if we could possibly affordably house the ego, reason with it, get it some health care, and maybe something to eat other than the souls of the egregiously power-hungry and sycophantic, have faced ridicule in Congress, a lot of confused opinions by large-haired and tediously voiced talking heads on mid-afternoon cable news channels feeding their audiences any kind of empty pudding in the vain hope to keep the ratings up high enough to sell more plastic foods, and others have been nailed to a wall and sprayed with flat cider. The populace seem divided on the ego, too. Some enjoy the post-apocalyptic-like circus freak show with all the frenzy of sex-starved teenagers at the opening of a new Godzilla movie, hopped up on cinema foyer sugary beverages and legalized poison peddled to their desperate parents through advertisements by drug companies during some facile cookery program hosted by 4 people of indiscriminate hair gender. And others hide in their homes, hoping for the storm to pass, hoping for Batman to save them, or vigorously pleasuring themselves over faded pictures of glamour models from 1983 that seem more human and also weirdly more sad than the perky-faced rakes filled with silicon and crack that parade around on carpets for the amusement of idiots today. And some members of the populace host podcasts that nobody listened to called the After Movie Diner.
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner with your host, Jon Cross.
Colin's pouring himself out.
Good evening and welcome to Did Phil Collins Guest Drum on That? A new podcast I'm starting where Jim and I sit in diners listening to obscure 80s songs.
No, we just sit in diners waiting for a song to come on.
For a song to come on.
It sounds like Phil Collins might be drumming on it, at which point we go, did Phil Collins guest drum on this? And we go, I don't know.
I don't know.
End of podcast.
End of podcast. And occasionally we also eat food and discuss films. But that's kind of a sideline.
That's very much.
That's very rare now. Yeah.
Level of the podcast.
The A level is still...
A side effect, basically.
The A level is still... That sounds like a Collins drum roll. Did Phil Collins
did he guest
drum on this?
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
End of podcast.
Definitive answer. So fantastic. Yes, here we are again. Senores Jim Wallace.
Hello.
And me, Jon Cross. Your erstwhile. Listen to the way the name is said. Like disappointment and ennui served up in a moist bap. Like you don't want
Your
the bap.
Moist bap.
You don't want the bap to be moist. You want the bap to be crunchy and crisp. But you get it served up and you're like,
moist is
no, you don't want a bap to be
like
moist.
squidgy. Squidgy baps are good.
Well, now you're in a whole breast.
I didn't mean to get into a breast place.
You got into a breast place.
I didn't mean to get into a breast place.
But no, what I'm saying is you want the contents of the bap to be moist. The hams, the cheeses, you want the mayonnaise and the salad to be all
do not want
delicious.
Hard mayonnaise, that is true.
Right, but then you want the roll to have a little bit of a crunch to it. But what you actually get given is this floppy, unappealing, downright soggy, really. And some might say like overly microwaved hot dog bun filled with disappointment, ennui, and tedium.
Yeah.
And that's what I bring to the
So what do I bring then?
You bring cynicism.
I don't. I'm quite not cynical.
No, true. You're right. I bring cynicism. You
bring
bring annoying positivity.
Argumentativeness.
A distinct lack
An
of
inability
hair.
to summarise movies.
A distinct lack of hair, and you're always
An insistence on looking into the motives behind the writing of the film.
Oh yeah, no, just wild flights of fancy about what the writer. Well, I think
May or may not have been thinking.
I think what the
I
writer
think he was wearing trousers when you were. Well, that's not.
I think what the writer was actually.
If he wore less grey trousers, this would have been a better film, in my opinion.
I think this writer probably read some Kierkegaard when he was in high school.
I bet he did.
While he was jumping.
I bet he did.
No.
If only he'd written in a softer chair, in my opinion, this film would have been very much stronger.
Very much stronger.
Yeah.
So this film that we're doing this week, for no particular reason.
Well, no, because we were around at your gaff because there's nothing on at the cinema.
Bollocks all at the cinema.
Bugger all
I mean, there
at the
was
cinema.
absolutely
Naff
sweet fuck all at the cinema. I mean, there was
Very excited about what's the big releases this week?
the 50 Shades of
Right.
Tedium.
Yeah, balls to that for Game of Tin Soldiers. Obviously.
Right.
What else?
Or as I like to call that whole franchise, they do realise porn is free, right? Like you do realise you can go on the internet and just go boobs and like
But it's
it
not about that.
appears.
it's about being swept out of your dull,
No, do you know what?
existence
I said
and
that-
psychologically abused by a psychopath.
Right.
Hooray!
Do you know what I said?
Sexy.
I said this at work today, like at work this week, and I was like, oh yeah, for people who don't know, there's porn. She was, and the woman that I was talking to, and it's funny, like. This is the difference. In America, people jump to the defense of the like weirdest things. Like it's not like she was a fan of the books or the thing or the movies either.
Right.
In fact, she stated that quite clearly. But she jumped to its defense. She was like, no, you got it all wrong. It's not about the porn. It's about the romance and the desire. And then I'm like, are you defending 50 Shades of Art?
I think they were.
So yeah,
fine, they
it's
were.
odd how like, and it happens as well. Like Kim does it a lot. Like in the morning, right? For the weather and the travel and just the general like background noise of it all, we have GMA on, which is one of the most facile programs ever produced, but it's one of those like relentlessly cheery and upbeat. Like on one hand they go, well, how do we talk to our daughters about worrying about the way they look and the pressures of social media and followed up by 50 great diet tips, and here's some skinny blonde bimbette who's going to tell us how many bench presses she can do. You know, like it's that kind of like backwards nonsense. Or someone else like, oh, I struggled really hard like losing my baby weight. I was so embarrassed. So it's those kind of things, right? And so you can imagine Kim sat there trying to have a coffee. Maybe she's doing some work on a laptop.
I can't imagine watching morning television with you would be a nightmare.
I'm walking back and forth.
It'd be like sort of being in between like an angry homeless man and his hallucination.
Exactly. No. Well, that's spot on. Because what happens is like someone will say something idiotically like hypocritical on the thing, right? And I'll be like, yeah, of course you did, because of course 5 minutes ago you weren't just like exulting, you know, I've dropped my cutlery again.
Your cutlery's out to get you.
This
is, by the way, another way in which you are scarily similar to Teresa, because this is what Teresa does when she watches morning TV. I'm like in the bathroom, whatever, doing my teeth, whatever, and I hear her go, "Oh, come on!" at the TV, yelling at the TV.
Like, oh, the Me Too movement, the Me Too. Ooh, blah, blah. And here's Mark Wahlberg, who's just done a movie. Wait a minute, didn't he beat up a Korean near death? Like, get your principles right, people. Anyway. So yeah, that's it. Why was I telling that story?
I have no idea, mate. Literally none. I think we were talking about my negative aspects.
I've now
as a human
dropped
being.
2 forks as well.
Two forks crossed, as they call you in this diner.
2 forks crossed.
Actually, no, they call you 3 forks crossed because you need 3 forks to finish a meal.
Right. I've now. This better not. I think it's because it's precarious.
The triforkser.
I'm gonna.
The triforkser.
The triforkser. I like it. Now fork off.
Sorry.
So I don't know what I was. Why did I get into that story?
I don't have a clue.
About me commenting on things.
Yeah, could be. We were talking about how I'm crap. So we might have moved on to how you're crap.
No.
I don't feel like we actually, finish with.
What did we start with?
How I'm crap. I don't know.
It's irrelevant.
City.
It doesn't matter.
We got as far as saying the name
you
of the
said
movie.
You said we were coming down to my gaff because there was nothing on at the cinema. 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, and then you yelling at people.
Oh no, this is it. Right. So about.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're getting back to the diversion.
no.
We were briefly diverted from the diversion
This
there, but back
movie's
to the
going to
diversion.
take 10 minutes to
Hey, could I get the Italian omelette?
Italian omelette.
Yeah, with whole wheat toast, but no, home fries.
No home fries.
No home fries.
You want anything instead?
No, just a toast is fine.
I'd like the popcorn shrimp.
Popcorn shrimp.
And then can I get the, you don't have it on the menu anymore, but the disco fries with cheese and gravy?
American cheese?
No, what's the other choice? Mozzarella, yeah, that one.
Okay, and you said white toast?
Whole wheat.
Whole wheat. Butter or no?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Your gravy's really
Great.
good here.
Thank you very much.
This is what I said.
Back to the diversion.
No, it's not. So I was saying how someone at work, jumped in and justified 50 Shades of Grey, even though wasn't even a fan of it. There was no need
this
to
is a
justify
diversion.
it. You get rid of it.
Because we didn't come here to talk about
No, it's
your
not.
co-worker
No.
50 Shades of Grey.
But I have to explain.
Oh,
but
I'm
it's,
sorry.
it's like in the mornings,
Right.
Kim understands that Kim knows that it's horrible and terrible and that people are awful and things like that. But
Doesn't need to hear about it.
But she'll go, no, but I'll make a comment. She'll be like, but she's had a really hard life, John. And I'm like, what's that got to do with the price of eggs? Her having a hard life. She just made an idiotic statement, and I pointed it out because it's 8 a.m. and I want to kill everyone in the planet.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle watching morning TV with you.
No.
I could handle a lot of things. I have, in fact.
You've handled
over
a
the
lot
course
of
of our
things
lives.
with me.
I've handled a lot, but I don't think I've ever handled morning TV with you, and I don't think that's ever going to start.
Yeah.
The handling.
No. Well, I'm surprised that I've even seen it at this point. I know their names and everything.
Yeah.
It's like Robin and Michael come on.
I have
and
to
I'm
say,
like,
I can't handle American morning TV because it's too.
or evening
It's
TV.
like
or the TV that happens in the middle
it's like
between the
borderline
morning and
on.
the evening.
It's like what was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like near future satire.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm watching near future satire.
Right, where all the
morning
hair is
news.
plastic.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Welcome to the morning. It's like It's like watching RoboCop news.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the president's a madman, and we might be going to nuclear war. Here's Tom with the weather. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
I
That's
can't
completely-
handle this.
Yeah.
You're so not dealing with reality.
Yeah, no, completely.
Freaking me out.
Completely.
This is like.
And
satire.
they applaud every third word. And I'm still to this point, I don't know who has that energy in the morning. I don't know how, on a daily basis, unless it's the same 30 people, but on a daily basis, they round up 30 people who have enough energy to applaud every time Robin goes, cancer, and then everyone goes, oh, you're the little cancer. Oh,
Are they really applauding cancer?
No, not applauding cancer. They're applauding someone who's either survived cancer or has been open about having cancer or whatever it is. Like, someone has said something
What have
about
you got against cancer?
I haven't got anything against cancer, but it doesn't have to be every single morning. Someone, and then this happened.
Well, they're trying to cheer you up, aren't they? I mean, it's not working, clearly. Clearly it's backfired spectacularly. But I'm going to go on a limb here and say you are not Good Morning America's tiger. Because it's not Good Morning Grumpy Old Bastards, is it? It would be a very different show if it was called Good Morning Grumpy Old Bastards.
But that should be a show.
It should be a show. It probably is on YouTube somewhere.
There's
you
a
just need
show
to find it. Some guy with a beard and a shotgun and a howling dog in his shed. It's called Good Morning Grumpy Old Bastards. You know what I mean? And it's just reading the news and complaining about it.
I would
I know you'd watch
just
it. You'd do it. Move to Maine and make that happen, mate. That's what you need to do.
just
Move
once.
to New Hampshire.
Just once, I'd like to see David Muir, the ABC News guy, turn to the camera and instead of be like, and here's a heartwarming story to end that 30 minutes of hell I just put you through. Instead of that, I want him to turn to the camera and just go, I fucking hate everything.
So
And
have you
just
seen
take
Network then?
Yeah.
It's something about that network.
Yeah, no, this would be more, this wouldn't be like I'm
More
mad
beers.
and I can't take it anymore. This would be more like my soul has at this point.
I am already dead.
I'm already
and there
dead.
is no hope.
So, it's not about mad and I can't
Let's
take it
just sit
anymore.
here quietly until it ends.
Exactly. David Muir just turns to the camera and just goes,
We're all going to die eventually. Let's just sit here quietly until that happens. Just be thankful that it is in fact coming.
until then.
Because, well, if it wasn't, what if we never
Yeah.
died and this nightmare went on for all eternity?
Until then, here's a chipmunk who's learned to roll a marble into a thimble.
Oh.
And then that's it.
Yeah, but
They literally did something.
the next
this morning.
item will be thimble economy plummets as chipmunks learn how to, do you know what I mean, roll marbles or whatever. Right, it's never any good fucking news for longer than 5 blasted minutes.
But it's, this morning in GRA, there was they wedged. I forget what they had like the most awkwardly painful baby shower for their co-host who's pregnant at the moment that I've ever seen, where everyone gave her a book, and everyone said exactly the same thing. Oh, I love this book when I'm a child. I really hope your child loves this book. And you could see on the face of the woman who was being given all these books going, you're all millionaires and you got me a book. I've got books. I've got. Where's a Jeroboam of champagne and maybe a car? Like, give me something
I
useful.
don't think you're supposed to buy pregnant women alcohol.
No, but she's going to give birth any minute. Like, once the baby's gone, it's fine.
Well, that's a good point, I suppose. Yeah, fair enough. Keeping cigars and
I don't know.
champagne.
Where's I don't know. Yeah, right. Where's my cigars? Where's my champagne? Where's my truck of Vicodin?
You know how I'm always very deeply connected to the needs of the listener? I feel like at this point we should maybe do more than say the name of the movie and then be distracted by the bee of daily irritation.
I like this conversation. So anyway, they had this, and then they had some
Please
horrible
stop talking
news.
to me about Good
And
Morning
in
America.
between, there was a video of a cat who's learned how to put its paw under a door and twang those, like, you know, those door stoppers that they used to screw into the bottom of doors and just go.
Yeah.
So the woman was like, there was a pregnant woman who was hosting the segment that was called like, we're all gonna burn soon, so let's have a brief, glimpse into what not quite hell is like. And the cat put its paw under the door and twanged that thing, and then she revealed that the whole thing was photographed by someone while they were in the bathroom, which was her expression. My expression was like, so great, you just showed us a YouTube clip of a man filming something while he was on the shitter.
Is that what happened?
Good Morning? Yeah, because he was sat on the... If you were peeing and a man... Like, it came from a dude, it wasn't like a woman.
Oh, I see.
But even so, then she'd be sat on
So
the
the
shitter.
fetid stench of his excrement pervaded the news item for you. And from now on, whenever you see a cat doing something cute, you smell somebody else's shit.
I think the cat is probably going, stop it. Like, it's disgusting. It's killing me.
You're saying the cat puts...
No, I'm saying the cat twangs the thing to
underneath
be
the
like,
door.
for the love of Christ, will you please stop making those smells? Anyway, on to Keeper of the City, starring Louis Gossett Jr., Anthony La Paglia.
I admire your seamless transitions. I just say that. This is what makes you the host.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Par excellence.
can I-
How many episodes have you done? Because I think that was probably the smoothest transition you've ever done.
No bumps in this road, mate.
Right.
And it's a dead end. So, what you have to understand is, I have these thoughts, like, all the time.
Yeah. No, I don't need to understand that. I very much understand.
Every day, all day.
I'm full of understanding.
And every
for that.
time, as I was explaining, I unleash these thoughts on someone that I might come across.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, but you have to understand the man on the shitter is dying of leukemia or something, and his wife left him,
that's
and
worse.
or whatever. No, but they make up some reason why I shouldn't be angry at the man on the shit. Like, they come up for some
You have to
reason.
be angry with the man on the shit. Yeah?
I'm angry.
Are
at
you
him.
angry with him?
Yes, because he took.
Okay, now that I don't understand.
He took a video of his cat while he was on the shitter, and then thought, I'm going to send this in. Actually, I'm not angry. I'm strangely impressed. Like, I'm strangely
I mean, that's confidence.
enamored with him. That he's like,
I think what happened is, as soon as he...
no, I think it would have been better had he got
No,
the corner
listen.
of his hairy knee in the shot. That would have been even better.
Let's
He
just-
didn't. That
Let's
was-
give him some humanity here. What happened was, this is my guess, 5 seconds after, because this is what it's like to be alive on planet Earth now. 5 seconds after he pressed send, he went, do you think they're going to figure out I was taking a shit? Did I just send basically a picture of myself taking a shit to Good Morning America? I think I did. And then he spent the rest of the week, do you know what I mean, wandering around, and people were talking to him like, hey Bob, have you got that report ready? He's like, oh yeah, I'll have it ready for you soon. All the time he's thinking, I sent a video of myself taking a shit to Good Morning America. Did I really do that?
Well, no, but
What if they use it? What if, for the love of God, everybody knows?
the funny thing was is that the video was so nondescript. It was at the bottom of the door. He could have said my bedroom. He could have said the kitchen. He could have said any room of the house.
Did I tell you?
He told.
I was on the ship. Bob, is that report going to be ready on Monday? Oh, yeah. I think I told them I was taking a shit.
You see, the reason why you are wonderful is that you are literally the only, one of the only people I can talk about these things that are in my mind, and you make them better.
Well, that's good. I think you should talk to somebody, like maybe a sock puppet with my face on it or something.
Yeah, that would
that work? I mean,
well, no, that might be strangely horrific. Your face on a sock.
Yeah, but it would be cheaper, and I would talk less.
No, but I like you talking. You
thank you.
come up with funny sketches that make me laugh to the point of herniation. And then you do really weird things with tea bags.
No, but I don't. He did that before he even realised what he was doing. But I'm drinking a cup of tea, right? And he goes, well, he's topping me up with hot water. Do you know how tea works?
No, he doesn't. No, but they don't know how tea works.
That's what I'm saying. An eighth of tea with hot water is like hot water.
Right.
So I have to put the tea bag back in,
Yeah.
which is not going to work.
Get another. Well, not these ones. These are the worst tea bags. The triangular woven
Yeah, but
thing.
you can see the leaves.
No,
and the leaves look really real.
It's awful. It's awful. It makes bad tea. It never irrigates proper, whatever the word is. It never disseminates or whatever. There's no seam in it. It's just awful.
I know, it's a terrible tea bag.
No, but it looks awful. It doesn't work, and the tea is weak as piss, and it's sold purely on the principle of being better. Like people go, oh, well, it gives the tea more room. More room to do what? BT.
Well, the problem is that there's a weird quirk, I think, of the American economy, whereby you can make something.
No, they have these in England now as well.
No, but not that anybody drinks.
No, because they're awful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Have you had one of those as well? I've had one as well.
What?
That's like an enormous wet sock. Like, it's one whole tea bag. There's no string on it or anything. Or it's not just a neat little square. It's a whole, like it's a windsock-sized thing. And you're meant to flop half the bag outside the cup.
Where do you have this?
This was at one place, like, when I was traveling somewhere, and I completely forget
In England
where it
or
was.
America?
America.
Okay.
But it was one of the, it's a newfangled thing. And I'm like, no, it's not.
It's an Arkansas tea bag.
It's like an unwieldy...
If it was good enough for LBJ, it's good enough for you.
Unappealing thing. No, it wasn't like that. It was in some, awful hipster hellhole coffee shop that made me want to kill everyone in it.
It's a very different kind of hell, your hipster coffee shop. It's more
especially with a big floppy condom sock-like wind thing.
It's more
as
alienating.
a tea bag.
It more says
It
you don't
was
belong
awful.
here, you're on the wrong earth.
Everything says that to me, though. Like, everything I see, and I mention it casually to people, I'm like, isn't that awful? And they go, actually, I really love that. And you go, who are you? How is it that you've looked at something that's clearly shite and gone, I quite like that, and I'd like to stroke it or put it on my television or inject my children with it? Like,
what are you pointing at when
stuff.
when
I'm
this
just
conversation
saying,
happens?
No, I'm saying pick
It's not a single thing that you can either eat, put your TV, or inject into your children.
Right. It's a food stuff. It's a TV program.
People can like
it's
food,
a music
different food.
choice.
That's okay.
No, but it's not that. It's people who have oh, have you tried the latest salted caramel?
But I like
chili,
salted caramel
guava, dark chocolate.
I don't
it's
mind when they put salted
90%
caramel
cacao,
on
by the
top
way.
of stuff.
It's 90% cacao, by the way. Oh, mine's only 85%. Oh, well, why don't we fucking kill each other now? It's awful. It's awful. It's all terrible. Everything about everything is terrible.
I would have to
The
disagree.
only thing I enjoy right now in my life is this, and so far I'm terrible at it because I'm not even talking about
Okay,
the
well,
food.
all right, but then how about...
But Despair is funny, or I'm hoping so anyway.
So Teresa goes to the supermarket.
Is this not
up in
about the
Essex
movie
Street.
still?
No, yeah, it's not about the movie. She goes
Okay.
up to the supermarket and she gets waffles.
Right.
And on Saturday morning, every Saturday morning,
Right.
I get to have waffles with powdered sugar on, and sometimes watch the footy, and sometimes go back to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh, look at that. That's worth living for, huh?
Thank you very
Look
much.
at that right
Thank
there.
you.
Thank you.
Can I get some butter? Thank you very much.
Sorry. Instead of the tartar, could I get the marinara? Could I swap that out? No. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. It's all right. I didn't realize the butter was in it.
It's already buttered. Crisis over. There's already butter on it. Don't worry about it,
I'm just
Chief.
saying, in my opinion, it's plenty worth living for.
This plate of prawns and cheesy
I
gravy.
agree, the modern world is maddening and frightening. But it always was. It's just that we used to have the luxury.
No.
Listen, we used to have the luxury of escaping into movies like Keeper of the City and stuff like that. Like we would be able to escape into stuff because we had less to worry about. But now we've got responsibilities and we have to stay places. And when you have to stay somewhere, you have to look around. When you look around on planet Earth, it bums you out.
That was a pretty... Thank you so much.
Right.
That was a pretty seamless transition right there.
Yeah. Run with it, for God's sake.
Keeper of the City, 1992, Louis Gossett Jr., Anthony La Paglia. Who's the other turd? who
Tony
plays-
Todd.
No, Tony, not Tony Todd, I like him. Who's the dude who
Oh,
played
yeah.
the journalist?
Peter Coyote.
Peter Coyote.
I always
there
get
we
him
go.
mixed up with the guy with the eyebrows, who's Peter Gallagher, I think.
You get Peter Coyote and Peter Gallagher mixed up.
Well, because they're both like slightly
They're both
bland,
Peters.
floppy-haired Peters from the 90s, aren't they?
No, Peter Gallagher was the dad in OC.
Yeah, but before that, he was like in While You Were Sleeping.
But he's nothing like Peter Coyote. Who
No, but
looks like
he's a
probably-
floppy-haired Peter from the 90s.
Peter Coyote just looks like a guy who probably sits around in his apartment in a white vest, smoking thin cigarettes, wishing he was like smacking Lauren Bacall about.
Fucking hell, that's specific. Where'd you pull that one from?
He wants to be in like the 1940s, like film noir.
Oh, does he?
Just by the look of him. He's all spindly and weird. Either that or he wants to be Harry Dean Stanton and he's not. Anyway,
He's not very good. I mean, he's all right in this one. To be
he's
fair.
awful in this one.
He's not awful.
He's awful in it. No, he's not. He puffs on a pipe. It was quite charming. I think you could probably handle the storyline for this one.
Bloody hell, all right.
Well, it's not complicated, is it?
No, but I usually manage to make it straight.
But she's wearing that sweater ironically. Or do you think she's mentally ill?
No, I think... Do you remember what you used to wear when you were that age?
I never wore an ironic sweater.
Yeah, but I bet she really likes that sweater. She might use irony to defend it, but she's wearing it because she likes it. Like, you used to wear ridiculous shit because you liked it.
I still would if I could. If I could find it. It's difficult to find it. I mean, this is pretty ridiculous.
Have you any idea how many men walk around in check shirts in this city?
No, it's not the shirt. It's the whole thing.
The whole
It's
thing,
ridiculous.
the whole arrangement. Oh, look, just before we get sucked back into the despair pit of modern reality, which, let's face it, we're all living in, and we're all living on the knife edge of a nightmare that will never end. So you might as well listen to
This podcast.
two grumpy old gits from half around the world banging on about a made-for-TV movie from the 90s starring Louis Gossett Jr.
So,
Oh, the story. So Louis Gossett Jr. is a lieutenant in the Chicago Police Department,
homicide division.
Homicide Division, and
And Tony Todd is his sergeant.
this is. I know, Tony Todd. Let me tell the story. We can get to the huge reveal that Tony Todd is his sergeant.
No, I'm just saying.
That's over the point. No, that's fine.
I'm
fine.
saying
It's a crucial detail.
No, I'm saying the thing I liked about it initially was
I could
Todd
have
and
used more
Gossett
Todd
Jr.
and Gossett Jr.
just wandering around, just generally shouting at each other. Carry on.
So, he's a homicide lieutenant in Chicago,
Yeah,
doing his thing.
doing his thing.
Anthony La Paglia, meanwhile,
Keeper of the city.
Keeper of the City. Anthony La Paglia, meanwhile, is a slightly bonkers Italian bloke
Yeah,
who,
son of a mafioso.
son of a low-level mafioso, who promised his gram when he was alive that he would write a book exposing all the horrible things the mafia did.
The men with dry hearts.
The man with dry hearts. He then proceeds to start writing the book, but then can't write the book because he can't write. Instead, he takes a shotgun out of the cupboard and decides to murder all the mafioso instead of writing about them. It's a bit of a gear shift, but whatever. We've already established he's a bit mental. Louis Gossett Jr. goes on the case. Meanwhile, actually, I think about it. So Anthony La Paglia kills his first mobster. He sends a note to a journalist, played by Peter Coyote.
Right.
Sends a note to journalist Peter Gallagher, who's a bit of a kind of a shit-stirring columnist guy, who spins out what he starts referring to as the gangster killer, as the real solution to the city's problems. Convinced that this is a group of people. There's a big chunk of the plot missing in the middle, I think, because the big kind of reveal at the end, which is quite impressive, is that this whole like campaign against the mafiosa of Chicago is, instead of like a coordinated attempt by citizens to take back control of their city, is in fact the work of one nutjob.
Right.
And that's supposed to be a big reveal, but it doesn't really have a lot of weight to it, because his whole like, oh, it must be a group of people, isn't really come from anywhere, and like
Well, he was
Louis Gossett Jr.'s like police bosses want him to back off, presumably because they're like, yeah, let these citizens like take out the mobsters. That's fine with us, kind of a
Right.
thing.
Well,
Because they don't think he's a nutter either.
So yes, you haven't quite set it up right, but like yes.
How have I not set it up right?
Okay, so this is it. The journalist has a moral quandary about the fact that he is essentially, especially once the notes start coming to him before the killings happen.
Right.
And he's like, well, should I warn this person that they're about to get killed?
Right.
And he almost does, and then decides halfway through the phone call not to do it.
Right.
Because not only is he unsure that it's a bad thing that like mob bosses are getting killed,
Right.
he thinks it might be a good thing. But on the other hand, he's profiting from it through his newspaper.
Right.
So he's already sealed his fate there. He then tells himself, this is the bit that's kind of missing from the story because it's difficult to kind of convey it, but he must have told himself somewhere along the line, well, if it's an organized,
Right.
like understood, take back our city
Right.
militia or whatever, I can sleep better at night than if it's some crazy who is also going to like strangle a woman because she won't give him room and board, you know?
Right.
Like he's not, like he's crossed over from someone who believes he's doing the God's work by killing bad guys to being someone who actually strangles a woman to death and beats his wife up and whatever. Like he's full-blown nut job. So that's when Coyote is confronted by laPaglia. He freaks out a little bit because he's like, no, it can't be you, it can't be you, it can't be you. Because if it's him, then it's somewhat on Coyote as well, all that's happened.
No, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's this bit where the police and him think this is some kind of organised uprising, some kind of like I'm saying.
No, I get it. No, I was
We're running into speculation here, but
speculation.
speculation's what you need.
Speculation.
In the book, it would make sense if I'm just saying.
In the book,
their
have
reaction,
you read the book?
No, but I'm just saying.
In the book, it
even
probably
if it's not,
says.
you know, even if it's not in the book, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
My point is that the police and the journalist's reaction to what's happening only makes sense if some idea of everything's lovely. Right. That only makes sense if the idea of like an armed uprising by citizens against the mob would be something that would ever happen.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not something that would ever happen. So you would have to, like, I don't know, there would have to be something in there that would say that that's possible. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that could happen.
Well,
but that's
the
never
thing.
In doubt in the movie.
Right, and there's no evidence of it either.
Right,
Like, there's no
yeah.
evidence that it's like a controlled hit.
Right. It just looks like what it is. So it's odd that everybody's doing it that way. Right. I know, it's just, you know what I mean? It was like a missing because actually that bit where laPaglia, because they're right, like he's got no money, you know, he's gone bonkers, he's left his wife and his family, so he would be like a homeless guy. And so when he confronts this, you know, when he meets up with the journalist at last, instead of being that like cliche, you know, killer meets journalist and oh, I'm so clever and the journalist flatters him, but whatever, you know, that same old dynamic. Instead, the journalist is confronted by what he assumes is some dark, you know, wonderful angel of destruction who has this like manifesto or whatever. Instead, it's like a gritty, grotty, homeless guy, basically, who's out of his fucking gourd.
Right,
you know,
trying to squeeze him
so
for
it's quite,
$1,000.
so it's quite cool because he's there to like borrow money off him because quite reasonably I made your career. No one would, you're not supposed to talk like that. So it's like a refreshing honesty about the whole exchange because he would be a homeless guy, he would need money, and he would go to the journalist. And he's been, you know, giving all this great stories to him.
The thing that I kept coming back to, sorry,
just quickly, What I guess what I'm saying is that bit is really neat, that scene, but it doesn't have the same punch as it should.
Right, no,
That's my
I get
problem.
it. I get it.
The thing in the middle is dead slow. It's like you could have thrown some things in there.
Right. But I've got a feeling, like one of the things that kept coming back to me while I was watching the movie, and it was helped considerably by the soundtrack, or the score rather, but also some of the dialogue, was that with not much of a tweak, if this was in black and white in the 40s, it wouldn't be like the greatest film noir ever, but it would be like one of the middle-of-the-road film noirs that still remember today.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, all right, has a bit of a slow bit in the middle, but like, look at what it's talking about.
Yeah, of course.
Look at what it's talking about. Look at the themes. Look at the like contemporary characters. Look at the like melodramatic dialogue. Like it all played, and there were certain nods to it. Like at the beginning when, so Louis Gossett Jr. at the very beginning, we see him on like the end of the previous case, which is some nut job who's taken a bunch of cleaning women hostage in a building. We don't quite know why. But there's literally cleaning women like strewn everywhere, like 8 of them. Like I'm not really sure what 8 cleaning women were doing there, but whatever. And he's wearing a mask, and he's gone nuts, and he's strapped up with bombs, and he's threatening to shoot everyone, and he has shot 6 people. And Louis Gossett Jr. shows up in the requisite cop attire of a sports jacket, a flappy tie, and a pair of old slacks, and wanders down the hall, calm as you like, psycho-babbling the guy in the ski mask until he tears the ski mask off, and instead of shooting a woman, shoots himself. Basically because Louis Gossett Jr. is so tuned in to the psychology of criminals and is so done with the, you know, detritus of Chicago and the terrible crime spree and then people who are living on the edge and the craziness that he's just like, so what if he shot himself? You know what I mean? Then the journalist shows up. Like all these scenes were like totally out of. That was a bit out of like an 80s movie, but the way he was like talking rather than drawing his gun, the way that the like light from the shade hit him across the. There's lots of like shades everywhere with like beam lights going through them. The way that like the reporter, who we haven't really been introduced to, but we're well aware of the cliche, shows up after the guy has shot himself and Louis Gossett Jr. is leaving the building, and he's like hassling Louis Gossett Jr. and Louis Gossett Jr. has like a quick retort, like there's banter, like all of that felt very noir-y. And actually it wasn't filmed badly. Like there was a lot of those sort of noir-y, felt like Body Heat and stuff like that kind of came out in the late 80s and early 90s that had like, there was a lot of detective thrillers and it kind of blended with the sort of erotic thrillers, but this was more of one of those, you know, you watch a film noir sometimes, you're like, oh, I'm loving that it's the 40s and it's black and white and there's hats and coats and everything, but like it's also a bit dry, like there's spots where you're like, oh, it's a bit dry here, or you know, whatever, because like it was the movies had good and bad movies, just like there's good and bad movies. It felt like that. Like it felt like a film noir I was having fun with, and I was enjoying all the soundtracks were like bum ba dum, like it was very illustrative. Like the soundtrack was just like scoring the hell out of everything. It was very melodramatic and very like cops on the edge, you know. And then there was like Christian choirs and things like that. Like it was all very boisterous and film noir. The dialogue and the general patter was very deliberate. Like it was very written. Now I know the same guy who wrote the book wrote this, but it was very pulpy, wasn't it? Like the way it was, the way everyone was talking in incredibly dramatic ways.
Really... You're right about the whole overdubbed voiceover of
the guy clacking away on the
clacking away on his keyboard, except that the clacking of a computer keyboard versus the clacking of a typewriter, it's just not the same.
But
it's annoying, is what it is.
Not in 1992, anyway.
No, it just doesn't work. It's not the same.
Too much clacking, mate.
Yeah, too much.
It's not. What you've done there is you've taken the clacking and you've Bobby Rothed it. You've Bobby Rothed it right up.
I think Roth knows his onions. I mean, this is a TV
This
movie
was
as well.
this was a TV movie directed by Bobby Roth, who, when I looked up Bobby Roth, is a veteran TV director
Veteran, mate.
who's literally made his bones in TV, and all the movies that he's made have either a straight-to-video and/or TV waft about them.
So my
But he
question
does.
is,
I think you're right. I think he does know his onions. Like, I think he knows the genre at the time in 80s and 90s cop movies was moving towards the action. They probably didn't have the budget to do like a whole bunch of crazy action because it's a TV
that's
movie.
why it sags in the middle, yeah.
So he's like, well, what do I do? Well, I'll film noir it up to the max and I'll stick a bunch of pulpy nonsense in there and away we go.
So my question is, right, if it's a made-for-TV movie, then how does it end up in a VHS, on VHS, that is then picked up by you 25 years later in a bargain store somewhere? Like, how does something go, like how did it used to work in America?
They used to release everything on VHS.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like as a movie, like pretend it was a real movie.
Yeah. Well, it was like, if you think about it, dude, we don't really have TV movies in the UK in the same way, but fucking Prime Suspect and all those got released on VHS
Yeah, I
and
suppose so.
DVD.
But this almost feels like,
And if you think about it, dude, think of all the like the Lifetime movies and all that. Like
No,
before
no.
streaming, they all got released.
No, I get
Death of a
that.
Cheerleader and all those
no,
ones.
I get that. But I mean, like with something like this, it's like it's made for TV, and then they put it on VHS and they put it out in video stores. And if you were in a video store, like when I saw it, I would assume it was like a Hollywood movie,
Right.
you know, that was made for video. And I'm almost like, I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering
Well, it didn't have
how
the
prevalent that was, or whether, you know, you'd have to like clear a certain bar that they would go, yeah, this has got Gossett and whatever in it, so we can probably make a few bob off this.
I mean, you think about it, dude. Like, this was probably like made for TV, sure, but it was full of blood and swearing. So I imagine it was probably made for HBO or something. Like, I bet it was like
like a
an
cable
early
thing.
cable HBO effort. And back then, they used to make all sorts of crap for that.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's the thing.
You know, USA Up All Night used to play all sorts of stuff. Yeah, they used to play theatrical movies, but they also used to play their own shoddy madness. I mean, there's a lot of filmmakers who still have careers because of that era. Bobby Roth, mate, still bobbing his Roth
Maybe it's a CBS then,
on
like
Hawaii
CBS
5-0.
Nights or something.
CBS Nights.
Do you think like after midnight you're allowed to say bollocks and have like and have go? But that was weird, wasn't it? Because there was no boobs,
No, there was side
there
boob,
was side boob,
and there was a lot of underwear.
and there was a lot of underwear. But there was like there's some terrible. Like I've never seen worse blood pack than on LaPaglia when he gets killed. Like that was really dreadful.
Well-
they didn't even try.
It's always
They
the
clearly had they had one chance to get that scene right,
right.
and that was it.
Yeah.
And they did not get it right.
Well, it's always dangerous when you're using squibs because if they're not packed right, and because you have to put a breastplate in between the actor's skin and shirt, and then the outside of the shirt, because obviously otherwise you can burn actors and da. And you're right, LaPaglia was probably like, I'll do 3 squibs, that's your lot. Tony 3 squibs, that's what they called him. He was like,
No, surely 3 squibs LaPaglia. It's better.
3 squibs LaPaglia. I don't know. I quite like Tony 3 squibs.
I think it depends on whether he's like a hitman or a boss. If he's a boss, he's 3 squibs LaPaglia. And
The
if
biggest-
he's a hitman, he's Tony 3 squibs.
The biggest problem was in a lot of 80s, 90s stuff is that if you wanted to do something a bit arty with the camera, in this case slow motion, you're liable to reveal either like a stuntman, like when they used to do like when they didn't care so much about like it looking like the actor, when it was like clearly like we grew up watching movies where we were like, oh, that's a stuntman. Like the other day when I watched with Mal and I was watching Where Eagles Dare, it's the whole sequence at the end. It's not even like darkly lit or filmed from behind. It's just 2 fat stuntmen like on top of a cable car, and I'm like, clearly not Burton and Eastwood. Clearly 2 fat guys, probably construction workers, that they're going, go on, get on top of a cable car, mate.
We'll give you 50 quid.
Right. Probably knocking
If you
about.
break your neck, we'll take your kids out for dinner. For pancakes.
Yeah, but they didn't care. Like, well, they're wearing the same clothes. What do you want for nothing?
Yeah.
So with Tony 3 squibs, or 3 squibs laPaglia, they were just like, well, I want to shoot it in slow motion. They're like, well, you're going to see the squibs, mate. And they're like, well, I want to see. He's not called 3 squibs for nothing. I want to see the squibs.
All done with you guys? Still finished?
No, he's
I'm
still
still
going.
eating.
Well done.
I'm still eating.
Thank you.
It was called back in the day, mate, suspension of disbelief.
No, I
That's
get
what it was
that. I
called.
get that. I'm just saying that there's
Nobody
suspension-
really thought that they burst into a door and actually shot laPaglia.
I'm sure.
It'd be a lawsuit, mate.
I'm sure they weren't expecting 2 grumpy, sarcastic people to watch it 25 years later and take issue with the quality of their squib work. Or maybe they did. Maybe whoever's in charge of the squibs was like, listen, in 25 years,
Yeah.
you know, when all this is but a distant memory, someone's going to watch this and they're going to be unimpressed with the quality of the squib work.
Yeah.
Right now, there's somebody like that. There is, pick it up. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, in some diner in New Mexico, somebody's ears gone, what? Somebody criticised the squib
call
work. I
is-
knew it.
A call is being put
One
through.
day I knew it would happen.
A call is being put through from the Pentagon to Bobby Roth right now.
I told you. I told you the squib work was shonky. I told you we'd pay for the shonky squib work.
Listen, Lennox, they figured out the dodgy squib work.
Lennox shonky squibs.
Get Bobby Roth on the phone.
Lenny shonky squibs.
And get me 3 squibs laPaglia.
It wasn't bad, was it? But it started off like it was going to be good, and then it kind of wasn't. Not that it was bad. It was just a bit.
Well, no, okay. So the big problem with it is this.
It's like there's a lot of movies out there, right? I've noticed this recently. The more I've watched, that they're perfectly fine and they're trying to say something, and everybody involved is doing a good thing, but for whatever reason, like it's just the magic doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? It's not. There's no spark to it.
Right. Well, okay.
It doesn't take much. Weller, you know, speaking like an idiot.
But this has the benefit.
Spark.
This has the benefit of Louis Gossett Jr., who is like
Who is really good.
charisma up to the eyebrow,
Yeah.
and laPaglia, who, to be fair, is like acting as an Italian heart out.
He is doing well because he does actually do the whole. He starts off looking like a. Like you get the peculiar thing at the beginning, and then he's like a nice family man, and he does like there is like a descent. There is like a gradual descent, and that works pretty well.
But what I mean is, he's believable when he starts going on about his grandma and
Yeah.
God and all that.
yeah.
I buy it. I don't like. I'm not watching it going, "Oh, he's being a bit hammy there." I
Yeah,
actually
no,
buy
that's true.
it.
No, that's true. I didn't think he hammed it.
So they kept it watchable for me.
I could use more Todd. I didn't think he did a great job.
Right.
Did Tone, and I normally like Tone.
I do
Todd
like
a
Tone.
lot.
But the acting was fine. Once I got into the film noiriness of it, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with this is that you had a guy who, right out the bat, was killing gangster guys.
And that kind of stopped, didn't it?
No, but that's the thing. So he kills 4, whatever he does. You have
Yeah, it's great,
everything's
thank
great.
you.
Thank you. I used to be able to finish both plates, mate. Now I'm struggling. Getting old. Also, I feel like they've given me twice as much as I normally get.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the film noiriness was good. The big problem was, like you said, at a certain point, so he kills 4 gangsters, right? But then, and there's some indication, like he goes up to his son and he's like, son, I'm going off to do the Lord's work. Bye. Drives off in his Pontiac, sweet ass Pontiac.
Very cool car.
He has it all figured out with the first 4, but then there's like 7 or 8 on the list, they say at one point, or 16 or something, didn't he? Then he says like 16 crime bosses in the greater Chicago area.
Yeah, but it's not really a list, is it?
No, but it's indicated there are many.
It seems more like he runs out of ideas. That he's just because there's another thing they kind of skip over too is that the first guy he kills is old man. The cop's first reaction is, well, why are they like? He's like nobody now.
Right.
Like 20 years ago he was a guy, now he's nothing.
Right.
And there's a feeling he's just killing old men.
Right.
You know, which again they kind of skate over. But I think there's a thing where it's like, oh, they're killing mobsters, and they're pushing that angle. But it feels like if the first guy he kills is like an old man, nobody, that like he's killing guys that were monsters like
So
20,
here's the
30
thing.
years ago.
Here's
you
the
know?
thing. And it depends on your taste. But in its hour and 35-minute running time, what it tried to cram in a whole bunch of a whole bunch of stuff. You got the moral ambiguity of the journalist. You've got the slow descent of LaPaglia. You've got the cop trying to find himself. Like he's lost his whole family.
It's more like it seems like he's like alienated from the city that he guards. That's what,
right. But there's a whole bit about like he very sweetly comes on to the woman in the restaurant, and then he very like sweetly makes his play on LaPaglia's ex-missus. Like there's this idea that inside him is this like soft chap who's just trying to like find a new
trying to make
foothold.
a connection. Yeah.
Because he's lost the conversation. Like there's this whole thing. So that could be a story in itself. You know what I mean? Like the Paglia's thing, that's another film. The journalist thing, but then there's also like hinting at, like you say, the idea of the mob, older guys, not being as relevant anymore.
Yeah, this all being a bit pointless. 'Cause I think that would be something too. It'd be like, because if it's all pointless and the journalist is spinning it out as being some huge, some huge deal, it's like, but these are just like, there's definitely like a disconnect between what the journalist is writing about and what's actually happening.
But then there's this
really
weird thing where the police are like, we're taking you off the killings because essentially we don't want them to be solved. We want like the guy to kill
which
all
again would make sense, but like they're just old guys. I don't know about that.
And then lastly, you've got the whole idea that LaPaglia is becoming famous, so he's the gangster killer, and you see like graffiti saying the gangster
and
killer.
And then it all just kind of grinds to a halt.
No, but people are calling him GK and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality of the fact is he's living in a flea pit motel with no beans to rub together whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like there's some commentary there on stuff, but it all burns out because one movie of 90 minutes is not enough to like sustain
well, that's the trouble
all
with because you can tell
all this stuff.
Like
either tell
any book,
like a cop versus serial killer movie.
No, I agree.
With a twist, or talk about like
you can imagine if you're like,
it's peppered throughout is what I felt.
You can imagine like reading the book, you go from like cop story to killer story to like it'd be like that,
right?
And that's how you'd get all that like depth. And I think you're right. I think they would almost have been better. I tell you what they should have cut back on. They should have cut back. And I get why it's there, but the Gossett Jr. and the kid and the mum like takes up way too much time for the payoff. It like properly drags it down. He's like Louis Gossett Jr. and she's 30 whatever. Like it's just like it doesn't feel like a natural fit. There's not a lot of chemistry there or anything. Do you know what I mean?
So
they're just making it into something that it's not. You're better off going just. Forget all that. And focus on the guy. That should be, focus on the guy killing. And that's the.
But what's funny is that it almost makes the end of the movie like very sad and kind of bittersweet because there's this whole thing in the middle of the movie.
That's true.
That
sometimes directors, I get the feeling sometimes directors fight for stuff like that. Like there's a thing that they feel if there's a moment in the movie that's like that they really like and they think is powerful enough, they'll fight to keep the 10 minutes of flabbiness that will give that moment its power. Like her, at the end of the movie, her turning her back on him and walking back into the house rather than like walking towards him at the end of the movie, like that's really powerful. But it's only powerful because of the like 15-20 minutes of flabby shit in the middle. You use the flabby shit in the middle, that bit doesn't nearly have as much impact.
The flabby shit Tim is referring to, which we have not set up very well, is that the once Gossett Jr. Also, the detective work is particularly lucky.
Thanks, man.
So, LaPaglia goes missing, his blue Pontiac is sighted, it's all very vague. Louis Gossett shows up at the house
that was cheesy.
Where he owns and then suddenly, while he's at the house, finds out that, he's got a shotgun.
Well, I guess
his dad was mafia.
I guess the reason is he is the prime suspect in the killing of that woman, and then they find out that he's driving a blue Pontiac and his dad was in the mafia.
But all I'm saying, so not exactly a romance, but a connection and a friendship and a trust builds between the wife and the son of LaPaglia and Louis Gossett Jr. in a very actually believable kind of. There's some nice chemistry there. The son plays it well. She plays it well. When he stood outside and he's like, someday some man is going to be lucky enough to like make your life right and set you back on the path and all the rest of it. And he's like, and I'm telling you right now, I'm getting in line. Which was like a really sweet thing.
yeah.
It's like, I'm in line. And she kind of gave him a thing, and I felt the warmth between them. What's interesting is, we then interpret the very end of the movie where it's your very traditional, I've killed the killer, and I'm your cop, and I'm returning your boy to you, because the LaPaglia had kidnapped his son. And the camera like floats up and up and up and up and up, and as the camera moves away from the cop and all the flashing lights and everything else, the woman turns around with her son and takes her safely back into the house. It's a very traditional ending, but it is given this real like sad bitterness to it, because you thought that maybe this would be his, well, there you go, mate, you got your family now, you got a family back, signed, sealed and delivered. The dad's out of the picture because you shot him. Right? So now you've got this woman and this son who you've bonded with. There you go, you put the pieces of your life back together. But instead it ends traditionally with the woman walking away. And I wonder one or two things. It's either intentional, in which case Bobby Roth is a bloody genius, because it adds a little pathos to the end.
I
of the
think
movie.
it's intentional.
Or it's like everything else in the movie. We're going to start a bunch of strands and not finish them.
Well, but a lot of
Because none of the other strands, name another strand, and none of them are finished. None of them are finished. There's denouement for the journalist. There's no denouement for the police who were trying to huff the whole thing up.
No. I think
none of the other strands go anywhere.
I think that the journalist doesn't get his comeuppance. That's true. Although I think there's supposed to be a direct correlation between what happens to the journalist and what happens to the guy at the beginning of the movie, right? I think what Gossett Jr. does to the guy in the beginning of the movie is like, you're a phony. You're a phony and you're a bullshit artist, and I don't fucking buy it. And you talk about death, and you're even fucking killing people. But really, this is all bullshit. You just want to kill yourself, and you just want us to do it for you. So let's just cut the bullshit and fucking do it.
Right.
And I think that in the same way with the journalist is all like, I'm a crusading journalist. I care about the city. I care about crime. That's his whole fucking thing. He eats in an expensive restaurant, and he's a man with like the courage of his own moral convictions, and that is like the centre of his entire universe, right?
Right.
And when
he
Gossett
does say
Jr.,
at one point, he's like, the reason why people like me is because I talk in the language of the city.
Right. He's all like, I'm real, I'm with, and then when I'm powered by this righteous indignation, and Gossett Jr. takes his gun and puts it in the journalist's hand and points it at Gossett Jr.'s head, and is all like, "What? Who do you hate? The Jews, the blacks? What's this rage that you've got?" And he's like, and he's quivering and shaking.
Well, he's showing him what it actually means to like hold a gun and have power.
No, of course. But really, what he's saying is you're a phony. You're a phony.
Yeah.
All this rage, all this anger, it's fucking nothing. It's phony. If you really hated people, if you really had like a righteous mission, then you would.
You'd be LaPaglia.
You wouldn't necessarily be angry at me, but like whoever you're angry at would, like, you'd see their face where I'm standing. You know what I mean? Like, it would be easy for me to goad you into getting angry. But there's nothing there. This is just phony bullshit. So he essentially has had his livelihood and his soul and his sense of himself taken away and destroyed by Gossett Jr. So I would argue he does have an end to his story. Although I agree, it doesn't have the punch that it should.
Right.
Given what an oily shit he is,
right,
he should have more than that.
But you are like, and I completely agree with you, because I'm now running the movie back in my head. Like, that makes it sound way better than the actual execution.
But listen, that's what I was saying about the whole thing. Is that sometimes you look back at something, right? You watch a movie, and Gossett Jr. is charismatic, and Coyote and laPaglia, they do their jobs really well. Like, they're very believable, and like there's some nice themes in it, and it's got a nice.
Bobby's roughing all over the place,
right? And it's not, and it's all believable. The story makes sense. It's not like, wait, who?
Right.
It makes sense. But for whatever reason, and sometimes I think it is just. Any story you tell in a movie, right, you have to throw shit away. You just do. You have to throw this storyline away, and that motivation away, and maybe even like that character away sometimes, because you're always having to compress it to make it leaner and meaner and really pack the punch it needs to. And sometimes I think you try that, and it just, what you end up with makes sense, and it's definitely a movie, and you can put it on a VHS and put it in a video store, and people will rent it, and they'll be happy. But it just doesn't have that spark. And there's no reason for it, except it's just not fucking there. It just doesn't.
I thought
That's all.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's bad. It just.
I still think it has something about it.
I agree.
I think it's a film noir-y thing about it.
I agree, but it's
some people are acting the beans, and I liked some of the writing.
I like some of the writing too. I'm sure the book would be a good, a good fun read. But it just, all I'm saying is, mate, I really enjoyed watching an old Louis Gossett Jr. VHS cop movie from the 90s with you. It was brilliant. But
it's no shakedown.
The experience, exactly. The experience. Sometimes you do that, and you end up with a movie. You go, I really enjoyed that. That was really fun. And even though this was a fine movie. That's not how I feel.
Right. That's not what?
That's not how I feel about it. I don't feel like it was like a fun, like one that I'm going to remember as a great movie. Like you say, Shakedown or whatever. You see those movies, or like Bagman even. You see these movies and they're fun, cheesy B movies.
James Woods Cop.
Yeah, those kind, and you go, that was really fun. And if I found myself in a motel room, in Arkansas at 2 o'clock in the morning and that was on the telly, I would happily watch that. But if this came on, I would change the channel. I'd look for something else.
Really?
Not because I didn't like it, but because chances are I would find something better. That's my verdict on the movie. It's an Arkansas motel room at 2 a.m. channel changer. If I've seen it before. Shakedown's on, you're going to watch Shakedown. Because it's 2 a.m. and you're in Arkansas. What else are you going to fucking do?
If Shakedown's on anywhere, I'm going to watch it.
Of course, but I'm just saying, put yourself in the Arkansas motel room at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And Shakedown's on the telly, you don't change the channel.
Right.
This is on the telly.
I watch it.
Again?
Yeah.
You're not even going to look for something else.
Well, there's probably only about 3 channels
But
in
I'm
a
saying,
motel in Arkansas.
would you look for something else?
No, because if I was channel flipping and I came across this movie on some obscure channel in the Midwest.
Having seen it. I'm saying having seen it already. This is in 2 years' time.
Arkansas's not in the Midwest, is it? But you know what I mean?
It's 2 years' time.
Right.
And you've already seen it. We've seen it together. We've talked about it. The podcast is still fresh in your mind.
Right.
You flip the channel. It's of 50 channels.
Yeah.
No, 20 channels.
Right.
This is on channel 3.
Right.
So you keep looking.
I do, but I think that what I do is... Hang on a second.
Shakedown's on channel 3.
Hang on a second.
Shakedown's on channel 3. Do you keep looking?
No.
That's what I'm saying. That's all.
But if Shakedown's on anywhere... Look, like it...
Bagman's on channel 3. Do you keep looking?
Yeah, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't. Arkansas, 2 a.m. What the fuck else is going to be on?
Right, but I would say the same. If this came on,
but I would
hang on a
bet
second.
I would.
Hang on a second. Can you be quiet and let me finish?
No.
If I'm sat in Arkansas at 2 a.m. in a motel by myself, and this comes on, I would stop for a while and watch it because I'd be like, oh yeah, I have it on VHS. We did a podcast about it. Like there would be a moment where I'd be like, oh wow, this is on.
I'm not denying you your moment of real connection.
Well, no. What I'm saying is,
with humanity in your own life,
my mind would go to the program planner of the local Arkansas cable company, who went, "What have we got knocking about
and
that
it
I
would
can
be me?"
put on?"
And you go, "That's what happened to Jim."
Yeah, right.
I wonder what happened after he left New York.
Yeah.
He moved to Arkansas
to program Keeper of the City.
Genuinely, of all the jobs I'm qualified for, I probably am qualified to be the programmer for an Arkansas TV station. Probably.
I'm just saying, if it came on, curiosity...
They treat me like a god in Arkansas, they would.
Curiosity value alone, I would have to be
darkness.
I would have to be like, okay, this is really weird that someone at the depths of TV moviedom put this on. Like now,
enough, I'm just saying,
if I then found out that it was like a Louis Gossett Jr. retrospective and they'd had like the principal and what is it, Officer and Gentleman, Iron Eagle. What's the one he did with the Punisher? Like if it was a Gossett thing, then I might be more like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But like if it's just randomly on at 2 a.m. and I look it up on my phone and I'm like, that's weird, and it's not playing anywhere else, it's just playing there, I probably do sit and watch it for a bit.
Fair enough. Well, there we go. That's our verdict.
But that's a different reason than what you're saying.
That's fine. But that's you and me, isn't it? We're different.
We are.
And that is our verdict on Keeper of the City. From Good Morning America to a hotel room in Arkansas
To a
at 2 a.m. This is Jon Cross and Jim Wallace, your Keepers of the City.
Is it? All right, gentlemen, let's Bobby Roth this sucker right up. Bobby Roth. I'm the keeper, babe, of the city. I'm gonna keep it. I will keep it till all the keeping is done. And I'm the keeper of the city, babe. And I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it till all the keeping is done. Would like myself a steady woman. Yeah. I got it lost all of my family. But now the city of Chicago is my woman. Yeah. And I will keep her close to me. I'm gonna go and gotta keep her close to me. Cause I'm the keeper, man, of the city, man. I will keep it till all the killing is done. Yeah. And I'm the keeper, man, the keeper of the city. I will keep it till all the killing is done. And it don't matter if they're gangsters. It don't matter if they're gonna be bad. No shotgun vigilante be right in my book. Even if they're living in the shadow of the dead. Oh yeah. In any way you gotta get through me. 'Cause I'm the keeper. I'm the keeper of this city, man. I'm the keeper of the city, man. Woo! Wisconsin children, keep me safe. They say Louis Gossett Jr. Won't you keep me safe? Louis Gossett Jr. I'm after the reaper in this city, man. And I don't think he's gonna stop till all the